All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Desert Farmer Podcast. This is episode 73. So, looking forward to the episode today. Hopefully, you guys are as well. Hopefully, we won't get too far off the rails as far as the discussion is concerned, but I'm hoping that it'll be a really good one. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it. So while we give everyone some time to get here, there are a couple things, actually really mainly just one thing that we want to share with you guys as far as a highlight from this week. And besides all the internet issues that we had this week, actually, you know what? Before we get that, what am I thinking? We have housekeeping notes first. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I've got a couple of housekeeping notes to share with you guys first. So housekeeping note number one would be what, sweetheart?
If you have a question, if you can just write the word question, preferably in caps, before you state your question, just so it stands out to me and I see it and hopefully don't miss it and can get that read for you guys.
Yes, so Lori's going to be down in the comments with you guys. She keeps up as best she can, and we'll probably interact a little bit. But the word question in all caps will help her narrow it down, especially when she's looking back at the questions. We don't have a way to pin those for later. So definitely leave those on there so that we can see that. And then housekeeping note number 2 would be, give us a thumbs up. If you enjoy the podcast and the content that we put out, especially here in this format, giving us a thumbs up definitely lets us know that you enjoy it and want to see more. And it helps everybody find them on into the future as this gets posted to our podcast feed. So right off the bat, I see Green and I see Pam.
Yeah.
Hey, Pam. Thank you for the super chat. You are so sweet. Every week.
I know.
Every week she does that.
She's so sweet.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And actually, Pam, she actually already commented on TikTok. And we posted something on TikTok that kind of relates it kind of relates into what our topic and highlight is for the week. So if you guys are here in Arizona, you know that we had a horrendous summer when it comes to rainfall. So we have two kind of distinct times when we get a rainy season. We have a rainy season that's basically winter through early spring, sometimes, kinda, but we can get some rainfall then. And then we have what we call our monsoon season. Usually starts in mid to late June and it runs through about now, right about the end of September, is our monsoon season. So we expect to get monsoon rains. Those are typically the more dangerous of the rains that we have because they can be very, very powerful. They're usually, at least sometimes, combined with the dust storms that we get, which can turn visibility down to 0 on the highways. People have died from that. And then flash flooding. So, but not uncommon for us to get flash flood watches or warnings and then never see anything. But yesterday was an exception. So we got a tremendous amount of rainfall yesterday. We posted a quick video on TikTok. You guys can bounce over there and see that if you want to. It's just showing the rainfall as it was coming down. Now that was not at its peak.
No.
So we actually got a lot more than that after the video that you'll see there. We got about 2 inches of rain here. It all fell in about a 4-hour time period. And actually the majority of that was probably in about a 1.5 to 2 hour time period. But it rained for about 4 hours straight. And I've got a couple of shots for you guys here I want to share with you. The first one, if you guys have ever been to the farm, you'll probably know this area. This is the front of the farm. If you guys have seen any of our farm tour videos, we usually like to start here. You'll see these are a couple of our loquat trees. This is us standing on our patio looking out towards the front of our house. And that area that you see surrounded, or the our champagne loquat, it basically has a moat around it. That is normally just a dirt path. So it's kind of hard to tell from that picture, but there's about 4 to 6 inches of water that's pooled up right there. And at its peak, that's about what it was. It got a little deeper than that, but it was pretty darn close. And what's amazing, so you can see there's wood chips that surround that area there. And you guys know we have wood chips kind of in and throughout the farm. And the idea behind that pathway is that it will channel water into the pathway. And then before it starts to evaporate, it'll actually start to sink into the ground and into the wood chips. And within a few hours, I got this shot here. And you can see, kind of hard to tell completely, but you can probably tell from there, the water at this point has already started to basically saturate down into the ground. The wood chips are pulling the water into the planted areas. So that champagne loquat is fully saturated with water. And what you can barely tell in the upper right-hand corner, that's one of our olive trees there. And then on the directly to the right of that, you're seeing the edge of one of our pineapple guavas. And then you can see on the bottom left-hand corner, that's a shadow of our Big Jim loquat. So those trees got fully saturated with that water that was pooling up in that pathway that we have at the front of the farm. So we didn't get it in, we're not going to get it up here today, but we did get some drone shots of the pole barn area. So we've got a little bit of work to do there to try to block some more of the water out of there. But if you guys follow us on TikTok, you're going to have to take a peek tomorrow. We're going to post another one for you. The pigs are having a good old time.
The pigs and the ducks.
Explain the ducks. So what was going on with the ducks yesterday?
Well, the ducks yesterday, so our duck area, so we have their enclosure and we have trees kind of in an L-shaped corner in their area that has wood chips and everything. Well, the dirt in between flooded. So it was complete water, like a lake in there, and they were just having the best time playing and trying to swim in it. Everything, like the turkeys, the chickens, they were all up in their coops, but the ducks and the pigs just had the best time.
They just loved it. It was about 80 degrees yesterday, just beautiful. It rained most of the day, so from about 9:30 in the morning until about 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon. It rained most of the day, and so it was beautiful as far as that's concerned. A little bit of humidity today, but a lot cooler. So definitely knocked the weather down. We don't have any days right now where the morning temps are above 70 degrees. They're all below 70. So we're in the 60s now in the mornings, which is just ideal. Yeah. So if you guys have not got your planting done, get it done. Yeah. Now is the time to start getting a bunch of trees in the ground if you can. So actually, speaking of trees, second quick highlight for you guys. We actually just did it today. We bought 2 more jujubes today from groworganic.com. So we got not honey jar, we have that one. What was it? Sugarcane. Yep. So we got a sugarcane jujube and we got a GA866, right? Which is also supposed to be a very, very good one. I think it's from Georgia. I think that's what the GA stands for. Also supposed to be a very, very good variety. That will bring, those are bare root. We're going to get those in January or February. We'll put those in the ground then. It's going to replace a couple of pear trees. We talked about our struggles with pear trees. We talked about it last week as well. So we're going to yank a couple that are really struggling out of the ground and replace them with something that by the end of the year will already give us production and a beautiful tree. So, but that'll bring our variety count of jujubes up to 7. The only thing that we have more varieties of is what? Figs. Yep. So we got, what did we count today? We have 20.
Well, yeah, we have some that are in our garden bed that we got cuttings from, so we haven't actually planted them. But
we'll show you guys planting those this winter.
Yeah, including those, we have 21 different fig varieties.
Yeah, 5 of them are not in the ground yet. So we're finding spots. We'll show you guys where those are going to go here this winter. So yeah. Anyways. Okay, so speaking of trees, and I guess before we get into the topic of the day, this should be a juicy one. I'm looking forward to the interaction and the conversation around this. But are there any quick questions before we get going?
Have you ever seen ice falling sometimes? So snow, or we had like hail.
Yep, we actually got some light snowfall at the old farm, and then we have gotten down to about 20 degrees. Great question. Another great lead-in into tropical trees.
We did here too, because remember in front of the outbuilding, it piled all up.
We did. Yep. So for a time, I think it was on the cameras actually, it was like kind of frozen, a freeze frame. And we had, some snow that had basically piled up against there. Now, I think it was actually hail, but it stuck and it actually stayed for several hours because it was cold enough for it to stick. And so, we do get snowfall. In fact, we got snowfall in the city when we were living in the city. You remember that? Mm-hmm. I remember
Austin was like 2 or 3 years old. And I remember my sister and her friend were over there and we were all in the backyard.
Yep.
And the kid, Rachel Austin and her friend were all out there like trying to catch it with their mouth.
Yeah, doesn't happen often, but it can happen. It definitely can happen. So, but yeah, that is a great lead-in. Unless there's any other questions.
There is another
is that
question.
Is Misco here?
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, Misco. Hey. So, if we get to it today, we got a creme brulee. So we're going to try to do a taste test. We're still working on your candies that you sent us. Thank you.
We have Masood here also.
Oh, hey, Masood.
Pam.
Mahaba. Hopefully that's right.
Pam planted a Christmas, Big Jim, and champagne cuttings.
Hey, very, very good. Loquats are in the ground.
Yes.
Exciting.
What is the best lemon tree to grow in Arizona? I've been through 2 Meyer trees and nothing.
Okay, so
dead.
Yeah, and Meyers can be a little finicky in the beginning. So that is our favorite variety. I prefer that fruit. A little smaller, thinner rind, a lot of juice. It's just a very, very good one. But if you're struggling with it, Eureka generally grows really well, very fast. It's a larger lemon and the rind's a little bit bigger. But, flavor's flavor, right? So I don't know that you'd be able to tell the difference in the two. And it's a fantastic variety. We did that on the old farm. We treated it like garbage. And it still grew and produced fruit for us like crazy. So give a Eureka. That one would be fine. So usually you can find those too.
Will you skip one watering due to the rain?
Yes. In fact, we turned several things off last night. And we can skip at least probably a full week with as much water as we got. 2 inches of rain is a lot. The only challenge that we have here, the areas that we have new wood chips on, the water doesn't penetrate that very well. And so that's the only thing where we've got our eastern orchard we're going to have to leave on because the front of that, all of our apple trees, most of the apple trees, we added about a foot of additional mulch here about 2 months ago. And the rain won't penetrate below that. So we'll have to irrigate that area there. But yeah, otherwise we will. Okay, any other questions or we should get into it?
That's it.
Okay, all right, this will be juicy because I know we got a lot of tropical fruit tree fans out there. And so, and I'm not gonna bash it, but we're gonna have an honest, hopefully an honest conversation today. So I really would, if as best you guys can, before I forget, because a lot more folks watch this after the fact. So we usually have 200 or 300 people that'll watch us while we're live, and then we have 1,000 to 3,000 people that'll watch it after it posts. So for those of you who are just now tuning in, you're watching this at a later date, I'm going to ask you guys to give us some great examples of either tropical fruit successes in central Arizona or tropical fruit failures. Either one, I want to see them both, but be specific if you can, especially if you guys have had some success. Okay, I'm really interested in that, but also the failures. We get a lot of the failures, but we do get a success or two. So if you guys have an example, please be as specific as you can. What part of the valley you're in, what you're planting, what did you do special, what kind of protection do you give it in the summertime and the wintertime. Be as specific as you can, because we're going to have folks that'll watch this later on and are going to probably be reading some of those. So before I forget, I just want to have you guys do that. And then obviously while we're here in the chat today, you guys can as well. Okay, what do I want to do? We want to talk a little bit about the reason why you will never see another tropical tree on Edge of Nowhere Farm. You will not see us plant one. And the reason is the experience that we've had. We're going to share that with you guys today. Last week, we shared our regrets. So we had 5 regrets we shared with you guys. Tropical trees was one of them. We have a few others, so it's not just tropicals that we're negative on. But tropical trees is definitely one that we have had enough. And we've tried it multiple times. We've tried it on both farms. We've tried so many different types of things to try to get them to survive, shy of adding heat, which we will not do. And I do not want to build structures for a tree. It's just not going to happen. It's way too much, way overboard. So we've just decided at this point, it's not worth our time. It's not worth our money. Now, the reason we're having this conversation today, we had somebody leave a comment. I believe it was on the 5 regrets video, just confirming that they've done the same thing. I believe they're in Phoenix, and over the last 10 years, they spent over $5,000 on trees alone, all tropical fruit trees, and none of them are alive today. So that is a tremendous investment in a whole lot of trees. Even if you're spending $100 a tree, you can do the math. That's a lot of trees, right? So this person had spent $5,000, doesn't have anything to show for it, and had given up. And so we feel the same way. We kind of had this little bonding moment where we realized, hey, it's just not worth our time. So I want to talk a little bit about what we've done here and the types of trees that we've attempted and the reasons why obviously we're not going to do them moving forward. So as far as the trees, we have, what are you looking at here?
Nothing.
Okay. So as far as the trees, I'm trying to remember the first tropical tree that we planted.
I think it was the Barbados cherry.
Okay, that's what I was thinking as well. We have a video here on the channel from that tree, and I think it was a harvest video. Excuse me for a second.
It was the old property, and it was in the ground for a couple years.
Yeah, I want to say
it was big and looked really good.
It was probably 5 feet tall, maybe 5 or 6 feet tall, probably just as wide would be my guess. So, and it was giving us fruit. Now, we weren't a fan of the fruit. It wasn't really all that good.
No, it tasted like a tomato. To me.
Yeah, it was closer to a tomato, and we had them at all different stages of ripeness. So you have to wait until they're perfectly ripe, like basically falling off. Mm-hmm. So they go from red to kind of a purple color. They get a little bit softer, and they're sweeter at that point.
Yeah.
But they just taste like a sweet tomato. At least that's what it tasted like to me. And it doesn't taste like a cherry. It just straight up does not taste like a cherry. So it tastes closer to a tomato. And so either way, so we have this bush. It was doing fantastic. And it was growing like crazy. It was surviving the winters without an issue. And then we had our cold snap. We had our 20-degree temps. Now, we're in zone 9B officially. However, we've hit 20 degrees, 20 Fahrenheit solid, which is 9A territory. So to be fair, we're about 3 or 4 degrees cooler out here in Whitman, at least we can be, than you guys are going to be in Phoenix. We're very similar to Tucson in that respect. So they can get a little bit colder, as can we. So if you're in Phoenix, keep this in mind, you are a little bit warmer. And so we're a little colder out here, and that is a bigger challenge because that 20-degree snap killed the Barbados cherry, right? 5 to 6 feet tall, dead. It tried to come back, never made it. It killed our passion fruit. We planted a passion fruit up against a western-facing wall. Idea behind that is wall heats up, stays nice and warm. All summer long did fantastic. 20 degrees killed it. So we lost that. We lost a full-grown moringa. That tree was probably 15 plus feet tall, probably about 8 to 10 feet wide. Killed that moringa. So we lost all of those. Now, moringa, not really a tropical tree. We'll give it to that in a minute. But the Barbados definitely is. And the passion fruit, which was a Frederick passion fruit, are supposed to be good down into around 30 degrees or so. So we're a little colder than that, and it killed those trees. Since then, if you guys watched a video, we've had a video on it a couple different times here. If you search banana on the channel, you'll find it. We had a banana tree that was gifted to us by Bob in Peoria. Has got a big banana tree there in Peoria that was doing really well. And he had a pup that we actually went and cut off. Austin went and helped us. We went and cut that off. I think that was in 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
So I think it was right around that. So we got that pup off of that banana tree, came here and planted that. It was in the middle of summer. It did great. So it grew well. That winter was a very mild winter. It did die back quite a bit, but it came back the following summer. Did really well all summer, put on a couple of pups. I think we had 2 or 3 pups that popped out on it, which was very encouraging. And then we last winter, it died, and again, was not a cold winter. And we've been covering this, by the way. So this one we were actually more diligent with covering.
We tried.
Yep. So we were covering this one. And that one finally died this past winter. Died completely. We tried to transplant it to get over tucked into some other trees, and it's just died. So it's gone at this point. So we've lost the banana. If you guys know, we had 2 guava trees here. We had a pink guava and a white Peruvian guava. The pink guava is supposedly a more cold hardy variety. So we had those at the front of the farm. You guys have probably seen those videos as well. We were extremely diligent with covering those guava. Mm-hmm. And they actually got nice and big. I want to say they were probably 6 to 7 feet tall.
They were beautiful.
Maybe as wide. Beautiful trees. The fruit was horrible. I wasn't a fan of the fruit, neither were you. We got videos on that too. We weren't a big fan of the taste of it, but it was growing really well, producing really well. And then winter before last, same thing. We had a 32-degree morning. Again, not as cold as we've been. We were diligent about keeping them covered only during the night period. So we were going out there at night, covering these trees, going out in the morning after the sun came up and it warmed up, uncovering these trees. We did this every single night, and the trees died to the ground. And so we had the exact same thing happen with those two guava trees. So at this point, the only thing that we have more money in is probably the pecans, right? And the pecans we've had, what is our success rate on the pecans? Have we lost 3 of them or 4? I can't remember.
We have lost 4.
4, and we have...
Yeah, because we've purchased 7 different ones over the years, and we have 3 remaining.
Okay, so we have whatever percentage that is, 60% or so success rate, more than 50%. So, no, less than 50%.
Less than 50%.
So like a 40% success rate, 35 to 40% success rate. So either way, so that is the closest thing we have to a failure rate. And then, of course, the failure rate with all of our tropical trees is 100%. So failed to mention, we did have a mango tree gifted to us. We tried not to take it, right? I mean, we literally insisted we don't want this mango tree because we know we're going to kill it. And we did.
And it was still in the pot. We hadn't even planted it yet.
Still in the pot, tucked in there with other trees.
In the nursery with all the other potted trees.
We didn't get below 35 degrees, I don't think, and killed it. So we've literally killed every single one of the tropical trees that we've attempted here between 2 different farms.
Yeah.
And we've lost them at very, very cold temperatures, 20 degrees. We've lost them at milder winters, say low 30s, right? So that has been our challenge. I want to bounce over to my notes. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
And kiwi, those are not considered.
Kiwi is, no, it's not. But we did have hardy kiwi, but that's another problem. So, okay, so I think we got it all. Did we get them all?
Yeah.
Anything I missed?
Nope.
No. Okay, so obviously I want to talk a little bit about our weather here in Whitman, and then obviously how that pertains to Phoenix and Tucson, which if you're outside of central Arizona, just forget about it. So, I mean, unless you're maybe western Arizona, there you might have some opportunities, say down in Yuma, maybe Yuma. That might be worth an attempt or two if you're feeling spicy. And then out west near the California border. Otherwise, skip it. But in my opinion. So weather. I mentioned we're in zone 9B, but we're more kind of a 9A territory. At least we have gotten down that low. But typically we're getting down into the mid to upper 20s almost every winter, it seems, since we've been out here. Now, we've been in the city. We did hit 25, 26 degrees when we were living in North Phoenix. So you guys can get cold there too. So don't think just because you haven't had a 25-degree morning yet, if you've been here for 5 or 6 years, you will get one. So it's coming. It just hasn't hit yet. So, and tropical trees, they're good down to about 40 degrees, right? Once you get below 40 degrees, it's real dicey. And the other side of this is during the summers, especially for the first couple of summers, it's too dry. So they can take the heat. The challenge is dry heat. They're not a fan. And so most, not all, but most of them are going to require some protection during the summer. So like, for example, avocados. Everybody asks us about avocados. That seems to be a typical question. And we won't attempt avocados, even though that's not technically a tropical tree. Too dry, too hot in the summer, and a bit too cold in the winter for us here. So that is the challenge. Not only during the summertime, you're going to have to give it some protection, at least the first couple of years. During the wintertime, not only are you going to have to cover it when you get down into the freezing frost range, if we get down into below 30, which you're going to, when you get below 30, you're going to have to add heat. So if you want to protect that tree, you're going to have to add some heat to it as well. So you're going to be building a structure, or you're going to be putting in a greenhouse or something like that. So now, speaking of greenhouses, if you have a greenhouse, obviously that's going to be an advantage. So at that point, you want to bring it into the greenhouse. But remember, Greenhouses maintain temperature for a short period of time and they heat up during the day when it's sunny, okay? At night, they do not maintain temperature, all right? So if you're 20 degrees outside, your greenhouse is 20 degrees as well. So the cold temperature is still really bad for that tree that's inside that greenhouse. So you're gonna have to add supplemental heat, especially once you get down below 30 degrees, okay? So the challenge with us here, okay, a lot of folks from California, I'm a California transplant, been almost 30 years now? Mm-hmm. But the challenge all of us from California have is that we've been able to do these things there because you're not as cold. So, unless you're up in the high desert areas of SoCal, you're going to get down, you might get down in the 30s, but for the most part, you're hovering in the 40-degree temps on your coldest nights. And that is fine for these tropical trees. Not a problem at all. They can handle that just fine. So the other part, of course, very, very dry. So these are tropical trees. They're designed to be in humidity. Now, not that they have to have it, but they perform better with humidity. These are designed to be in the tropics, not here in the desert. So the other challenge is there are no rootstocks for tropical trees designed for our soil. So our very alkaline, very salty soil is not generally conducive to trees like that. Now, can they survive? Sure. I've seen videos and pictures, just like the rest of you probably have, of avocado trees here in Arizona, supposedly, and mango trees like Jay Behringer. I know he's got some mango trees. I think he's done some star fruit. So he's done a couple things on his slice of heaven there. I think he's in Tempe. Is he in Tempe? Do you remember?
We've never been there, so I'm not sure if he's Tempe, but he is east side.
Yeah, but definitely in the city, so in the heat box, because in Phoenix in particular, not quite as much Tucson, but in Phoenix, there's you have a heat island there because of the city. So it's definitely warmer in the city, and it maintains that temperature during the evenings as well, especially on our coldest days. So other part to this is microclimate. So we want to keep that in mind. So if you have a warm area in your yard that doesn't go below 40 degrees and you know that, hey, maybe you do have an opportunity to attempt a tropical tree at that point. So just remember, your microclimate has layers. So down towards the ground is going to generally be your warmer areas, especially in a backyard, okay? Even though heat rises. Because usually you have your microclimates are probably either maybe a water feature or you have walls that are going to heat up during the day. So, you might have a microclimate that's in your yard that you might be able to put a smaller type of tropical tree into. Just be cautious. If it does well, and hopefully it does if you're going to attempt it, if it does well, it's going to grow over that fence. And so it's going to be challenged. And remember, the taller it is, the more you have to deal with when it does get down into the 20s, because again, it's going to. So don't think it's not. If you haven't been here for 10, 15 years, it's going to get down into the 20s in the city, okay? So microclimate is another thing to keep in mind. So if you know that you have one and you want to give this a shot, you're going to definitely want to pay attention to that, okay? Out in the middle of your yard with nothing surrounding it, it's probably not a warm microclimate. Chances are pretty good. That's probably the coldest area in your yard. Also, solar aspect. So wintertime, remember, depending on where your house is, if you have a south-facing area, that's going to remain the warmest during the winter months, which is the most critical and dangerous time for a tropical tree, our winters. So if you have a south-facing area that you can plant these plants into, that would be your ideal area, okay? And then obviously if you can keep it closer to the home, remember you are going to probably at some point need to add some supplemental heat to it. That being the case, you're going to want to be able to run an extension cord to it, and if it's raining and snowing and ice, nobody's going to want to go out there, but obviously it needs to be fairly close to your home. So those are all things to keep in mind, and weather being the biggest challenge that we have. And so those might be some ways around it.
Yeah.
So,
but obviously plenty of people that have been successful here in, Arizona.
I want to see those. I want to see the successes because I've heard those things. I really want to see them.
Well, we know Jay. We've seen, him post on like Facebook and stuff that he has. Obviously, Seamus, I'm sure he's had success too. But you have to be willing to do the work for it.
To do the work. Yep. So bounce over to our notes real quick. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything there. What was so weather? Did I miss anything?
Lack of production.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Correct. So, okay. We've talked about Lori and her being a big fan of mangoes. Now, I like mangoes too. I get a little sick to my stomach with mangoes, so I'm not a huge mango fan. I'd rather have other fruit. There's so many options there. But mangoes are good. I do like them as well. And so, and it's a common fruit, especially obviously throughout the tropics, and a popular fruit for us here in Arizona. So wonderful fruit down in Mexico that has a tremendous mango bounty. And we saw that when we were down there on our cruise this year. Obviously in Hawaii and also in Florida, lots of massive mango trees, a lot of production on these trees, right? I mean, hundreds and hundreds of mangoes on these massive trees, right? It's amazing to see that. So, obviously those areas are ideal. Here, not so much. So, the issue you're going to find one way or another is how much production can you get? So a banana is going to give you if you can get a banana to finally fruit, the challenge will be, again, if it freezes in the wintertime, it's going to have a very, very hard time setting and ripening fruit by the end of summer because it's going to take that whole time. So, but a banana, I've seen that. So I know there's a few folks here in Arizona that do fairly well with bananas. And the key being you need to give it a good microclimate. There's a lot of things you need to do for a banana. Again, I've seen a couple folks that have harvested some mangoes. But the big question is, how much production are you going to get, right? You're going to put in a lot of effort. So it's going to cost you a couple bucks for a tree. You're going to have to do soil amendments. You're going to probably have to build some structures around it. It's going to take a lot of time, relatively speaking. And so how much production are you going to get? I mean, these trees can't get very big. If you get a 15 to 20 foot mango, more power to you. That's fantastic. So now the challenge is keeping that from freezing during the wintertime and not losing that 15 to 20 foot beautiful tree, because you need a tree that big. Mango trees are massive. So in order to get hundreds of fruit off of a tree, you need a massive tree. So it's not like a mulberry tree where you're going to get a whole lot of production on what can be a dwarf tree. A peach tree can give you hundreds of pieces of fruit on a 5 to 6 foot tall, 7 foot tall tree. It will do it year after year. Apple trees, same exact thing. You're going to get dozens, if not hundreds of fruit, pounds and pounds, dozens of pounds of fruit off of a single tree. So none of those trees require any extra work. You plant it, you prune it, put it on automatic irrigation, and you harvest. That's it.
Fertilize it.
Fertilize, yeah, when you remember. So plant it, you do that once. Fertilize, you do 3 times a year. Harvesting, you do once a year, and pruning, you do basically once a year. So those things you do, they take very little time and they give you a tremendous amount of production. So the challenge that we have here with that as well, just production. I mean, we put in a tree, we don't want to have to do a lot of work to it. We have over 200 trees here. We can't spend a lot of time on a single tree, but we want it to give us as much as it possibly can. And your traditional trees do that, whereas your tropical trees may not. And so that is another challenge. So even if you get them to give you some production, it's going to be fairly limited. And for all of that work, for us, it's not worth it. It's just not worth our time. So production. And, keep in mind, guys, we have so many different types of fruit here. We harvest fruit off of a tree every single month of the year. Every month of the year. This is the month where it's the most difficult, but we've already gotten a couple of figs. We're harvesting limes. So, even in the questionable time, which is now September, even in October, we will be harvesting Asian pears this month into next month. We have some figs, if they're going to survive the fig eater beetles. We'll have some figs here this month. We've already gotten a couple, and then into next month. And then, of course, citrus starts, right? And then you go back into stone fruit, pome fruit, all the rest of that stuff in the spring, all your berries. So literally you can have fruit every single month out of your backyard. Why would you mess around with a tropical tree? I don't know. So I can't justify it personally.
Just to say you have a tropical tree.
To say you do. It's kind of neat. It's cool, right?
Yeah.
I know we got a buddy of mine, he actually used to work, he's moved on to bigger and better things, but he was here this winter or in the spring, was talking about his lemon tree, and he's in the Northeast. But he got a single Meyer lemon. He was so excited. Sent me pictures of it. He's got it, making a drink. He was all excited a few weeks ago. got his very first lemon tree. I was pretty impressed. I mean, to have, he's in Connecticut, so, he's got this Meyer lemon tree growing in Connecticut. That's pretty impressive, right? Yeah. So he was here, actually, it was this summer. I was thinking spring, it was this summer. But he was here this summer, touring the farm, and had never been here before. And we're walking past the lemon tree, and I said, yeah, so that's our Meyer lemon. He's just shaking his head. Because there's hundreds of lemons on his tree, right? Yeah. So, but it just reminded me, it's the same thing in reverse, right? So it's cool, it's unique, right? You're sitting there in New England and you're picking a ripe lemon here, I think it was last month, so picking a ripe lemon in August, one. And for those of us here in Arizona that have a lemon tree, right, you're chuckling a little bit because, he gets one lemon, he's really excited, and we're all trying to give away our lemons, come, February, right?
So that's exactly how it is here. If someone can get one mango off of a tree, they're excited about that one mango.
Exactly. And that's where I wanted to end. And so
sorry.
That's okay. I mean, that's exactly it, right? So that's exactly it in reverse. So, we're in Florida, Southern California, Hawaii, all the parts of the tropics, they've got mangoes and bananas just falling off trees, right? And here we get excited because we get a mango. And you know what? It is pretty exciting. So if it's our experience and our preferences, we will not do them again. We won't. And so, if you're thinking of sending us a tropical tree, don't do it. We've already killed enough. We don't want to kill your tree too. But we've decided it's not worth our time, and we're not going to attempt it again. And what we wanted to do here is give you guys the real lowdown. We do that here. So we're honest with you guys. We share with you guys success. We share with you guys failures. And this has definitely been a 100% failure for us. And so we're not going to do it again. So what I wanted to do here today with this for you guys is, if you're going to attempt it, realize what you're getting into, that you are going to be challenged. It's probably not going to be a highly productive tree. And more importantly, I want you to prove me wrong. So 5 years from now, when you have this beautiful mango tree, I want to know where you live. I need to see a video. I can see the streets that you're on, and then I can see this wonderful mango harvest that you have, okay? So I'll leave it at that. All right, so I think I've covered everything.
Yeah.
I mentioned in the beginning, guys, if you're watching this now or watching it later on, if you guys have successes and failures, we all learn from them, right? I know that we'll have both. So if you can share those, that'd be great. All right,
so
I'm gonna have a drink.
Yeah, lots of stuff on here. So Pam, isn't loquat considered a tropical tree?
No. So loquat is an evergreen. So it actually thrives in cold weather. So it's actually
like a subtropical.
Yeah, it's subtropical. So it's like pretty much everything else here that we grow. Your citrus trees are subtropicals as well. So, and evergreen. They're actually from China originally. So, and China's got some very cold areas. And you'll see that, obviously you've got some newly planted ones. So they thrive in the wintertime. They do not skip a beat. So the only challenge that we can have with loquats, they flower during the wintertime when it's the coldest. They also set their fruit when it's the coldest. So these are flowers that have to be pollinated. Bees struggle in cold weather, right? Especially when it's really, really cold. And then, of course, the fruit has to set. So if you get real hard frosts and freezes, sure, it can affect the production. The tree itself is fine, though. So that doesn't have an issue. And we've literally harvested hundreds and hundreds of loquats here. Hundreds. So we made loquat wine this year. So that's how many loquats we had this year. We had more than we could possibly consume. So we finally made some loquat wine, which people were suggesting. I don't know how it's going to turn out. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
So we'll share that with you guys. But yeah, no, loquats do just fine here.
Tuberose. So someone growing tuberose in Buckeye, Arizona.
I don't know what that is.
They take full sun. I don't know if that is either. We have a volunteer ever-bearing mulberry that is growing up through our sunset nectarine from RSI. When should we transplant it, and what size pot should we put it in temporarily?
So you always transplant. These are deciduous trees. They drop all their leaves in the wintertime. So, and actually, what kind of tree was it?
A volunteer ever-bearing mulberry.
No.
Oh, a sunset nectarine.
Nectarine. Good.
Growing up through.
Perfect. So they're both deciduous trees. Wait until the wintertime. That way because you're going to be disturbing the roots for the nectarine, and obviously disturbing the roots for your mulberry tree. Congratulations on that little guy that hitched a ride. But you'll want to dig it up in the wintertime once they're fully dormant. So for us here, that's January. So I'd say early January is best. The nectarine probably going to be a little bit later than January. In fact, I'm sure it'll probably be February. So be cautious when you do that. Yeah, timing's going to be about the same as us for that nectarine. So the nectarines usually break dormancy sometime in February, give or take. So I'd say right after New Year. So maybe like, New Year's weekend. I think New Year's is on a Friday this weekend. So maybe that Saturday to celebrate the New Year, go out, dig up that everbearing and put it into a 5-gallon pot. So anytime, whenever we do transplants like that, we're typically putting them into 5-gallon pots unless they're large trees. Then it's a whole different scenario because then you shouldn't be potting it. You need to put it right back into the ground. So if you're going to put this tree into a pot, a 5-gallon pot, if you can get a 15-gallon pot or bigger, if it's going to remain in a pot, get the biggest one you possibly can. But if it's going to be temporary, a 5-gallon pot's fine. Or better yet, dig it up and transplant it in your yard. So dig it up.
Yeah, he did say that it's about 3 to 4 feet tall already.
Okay.
And then how long can we keep it in the pot?
You can pretty much keep an everbearing, so a dwarf everbearing, indefinitely in a pot, but it's going to do best outside of that. So we had an everbearing, so our everbearing trees here, though the mother plant is, 9 years old now. It's on the old farm. And that one was in a pot, I believe, for an entire year, if I'm not mistaken. And it grew to about 3.5 to 4 feet tall, so about the same size as that one is there you're describing. That tree survived in the pot just fine. It was in a 27-inch, terracotta pot. It survived just fine, but it didn't thrive. As soon as we put it in the ground, it shot up 3 or 4 feet in a year. And so it doubled in size as soon as it went in the ground. So the offspring, so we have 3 of those trees here in the ground that have been there for about 5 years now. Those trees are about 12 to 14 feet tall, probably about 7 to 8 feet wide. And that's about as tall as they're getting. They're not growing anymore. They've been about that height for the last couple of years. So, they can get up to a good 12 feet tall when it's all said and done. Versus our black Pakistans, by the way, in the back are probably 15 to 20 feet tall. So those will be a bit bigger. Okay, what else?
I can't even get things that are supposed to grow to live, so I'll never try a tropical, Karen said.
Yeah, well, and I think not to bounce back, so I want to get to questions. I think that
there's a lot of stuff on here.
Yeah, so I think the thing with tropical trees to remember is these are not beginner trees. So, if you've got one spot in your backyard and you just love tropical trees and you really want to do it, give it a try. But be prepared that it's probably, not saying it will, but it's probably going to fail. And there are so many other options out there for fruit in Arizona that are so easy or so much easier. We got a video on easy trees to grow. Get some successes. If you don't have trees in the ground now, don't start with a tropical tree if you have space for more than one, please. I want you guys to continue. I want you guys to have a YouTube channel in a few years and you're sharing all this stuff that you're doing that we can't even do, right? So that would be the best thing that could possibly happen. And so what I would prefer, and again, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but what I would prefer is you guys get some success. Plant a peach tree, for goodness sakes, right? If you like citrus grows here like crazy. Pick a citrus and plant it. You're going to get some success. You're going to get a lot of production. Then give the other stuff a shot. So, anyways, creme brulee. I know I saw Misco down there.
Yeah.
So Misco, by the way, thank you for the happy anniversary, Misco.
Oh, yeah. That was so
awesome,
cool.
Man. That was so cool. Now we actually know what Misco looks like, too.
Yeah.
Misco.
Sent it a video.
So, yeah. So, creme brulee. This is from around the world in Slovakia. So I'm going to try this while we get to another question.
Yeah, there's some comments too. So Misko had actually tried 2 tamarillos. I'm not sure what that is. No fruit so far, but in the winter, inside under lamps.
Yep.
Pam, a Jamaican cherry, did great for 2 years. Loves the heat. Before last, had a slightly cold winter and it died.
And it wasn't that cold. Because she's an AJ. They get cold out there, too.
Mm-hmm. That was a lot of tree sitting for a tree that sounds like an experiment, especially if you don't care for the fruit. So the guavas up front.
Yeah,
So
we didn't know till we had them.
yeah, we didn't know we didn't care for them because we've had like, guavas and smoothies and stuff. So to be fair, we didn't like fresh eating them. So we didn't waste the fruit. We did cut it up, freeze it, and put it in our smoothies. So we were able to do that. And they were right at the front of our property, like right outside our front door. And so we didn't want them to look bad. So we really tried to make them, look really good.
This is fantastic, by the way.
I can't wait to try it. I can't wait to try it. Did you ever try to grow red or black currants or gooseberries?
We have not attempted that, and mainly because of the research I did, just that we're too dry here. So I don't know. Again, that's back to you're going to have to give it the right environment and take more care than we're willing to give. We have stopped attempting raspberries. We got a few raspberries on the old farm, a few. We get hundreds of blackberries off the Primark and dozens off of the Triple Crown. So, we just don't want to dedicate the space and the time to something that it's just not going to give the production that we want to see. Mm-hmm. So.
Have you noticed bamboo stunting tree growth? I've been using it to shade low quad and they're either dying or not growing. We're in a flood irrigation down in the valley.
First of all, a little jealous of your flood irrigation, not going to lie. Plant a pecan tree, because if I had it, I'd have more pecan trees, and maybe they would survive. But, one of the things that we've been asked here is why we don't do more companion planting, and what you're running into is one of the reasons why. So we do not, and it's because of all the things we struggle with here in Arizona. Trees struggle in summertime. It doesn't matter what kind. Every fruit tree is going to struggle a bit during the summertime. All right? They all are. So you can help them by giving them a lot of extra water. A lot of people like to add shade. You guys know we don't do that, but you can. So they struggle. Well, the challenge is your ground cover is going to be taking water and nutrients from that tree. So anything that's planted down there around the roots of your tree is stealing the nutrients and the water away from your tree. So it's just a simple fact. It's what they do. And so that's what you're facing. And bamboo, which is what sugarcane and different types of bamboos are, is very, very water hungry. These are grass. So they are going to consume nutrition and water. You need to yank those out as quickly as possible. They're going to kill your tree. So it's going to happen. So, and it is the reason we do not do, generally speaking, we don't do companion planting. Now, we have that happening over here with that 5-in-1 tree that Misco gave us, actually. Mm-hmm. So that one, we're going to see kind of how it does with sweet potatoes. But remember, sweet potatoes do not grow in the wintertime. They grow like savages all summer long, which is when trees struggle. So not that you can't do it. You can. Just realize you're going to have to compensate for the fact that you have other plants that are competing against your fruit trees. Now, as the fruit tree gets older, it has a lot better opportunity to fight for that said nutrition, but why do that to your fruit tree? That's the reason why you have it, right? So anyhow, that's one of the reasons we do not do the companion planting here as a general rule. So.
What rootstock should I be looking for apples? The two you recommend and the Florida Prince.
Right, so the rootstock for your stone fruit that Reed does is Hansen. So that one he shared with me. So I know that's a Hansen rootstock. It's a fantastic rootstock for any of your stone fruit, right? So your plums, peaches, apricots, almonds, all of those are going to be on a Hansen rootstock from him, and they do fantastic. Now, you can get away with things like a Nemagard rootstock with peaches. We've actually had some success with that rootstock. So it's not ideal, but it will work. The question was pome fruit. So with pome fruit, I don't know what Reed uses. He will not tell me. So he would not share that with me. So, and we know Reed fairly well, and he just won't do it. So he shared a lot of other things with us, and he simply will not share that secret. So and it does fantastic. But we have had success with the M111. So M as in Mary, 111. Very common rootstock for apples, and that one has done well for us. Just avoid any dwarfing rootstocks, whatever you do with any tree that you buy, okay? There is not a really good dwarfing rootstock for us here in Arizona. So if it's a dwarf tree, it's gonna struggle, okay? So just shy away from those, and then back to pome fruit, apples, M111 is the one that we've used. We have trees on it now that are they're successful. So
Wouldn't avocado trees give fruit one time?
I've never had an avocado tree, so I don't know that for a fact.
We have a lot of people asking us about avocados. There's a lot of comments about avocados on here, but Dwayne's actually allergic to avocados, so it's never even been a discussion for us.
No.
But we do have someone down in South Chandler that has mangoes, and sounds like three different mango trees in the ground, and has been fortunate to harvest fruit for 3 seasons.
That's fantastic.
Yep. Really good. Then just talking about, Jay and Jay's in Mesa. Have windbreaks helped for the winter? Having windbreaks helps in the winter.
Oh yeah, I get microclimate. Yeah, so if you can keep the wind off of it, yeah. And so for the person that's got the mangoes, you have to share what they're doing special. So a lot of people have lost hundreds and hundreds of mango trees have been sacrificed in Phoenix. So
she got a couple from Seamus, and then looks like one's from Seed. How are your loquat trees doing? I'm thinking about getting some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we had mentioned that a little bit earlier. They're doing fantastic. So the Yehuda, the first summer, it's a matter of survival. So last October, we planted a Yehuda loquat. So loquat we had on the old farm. First one that we had success with. Mm-hmm. And we planted a Yehuda last year, and it's still alive. It's just fine, putting on new growth right now. So now is its growth time. So it'll push out a lot of new growth here over the winter and through the spring months. But we shouldn't get any production off of it. I won't let it produce this year. So, but yeah, it's doing really good. And we'd mentioned earlier, we've got loquat wine. So we got a massive loquat harvest this year. It was impressive how many loquats we got off those trees this year. So it's because of the mild winter. We had a very, very mild winter. I was mentioning earlier, the challenge with loquats for us is they flower and set fruit in the middle of winter when it's our coldest time period. So this year in particular was so mild. I think I might even put, I don't know if it was this winter or last winter, both winters have been mild, a shot of just bees all over the trees in the middle of winter, first thing in the morning. It was amazing to see it.
A comment, I think the key to successful tropicals in Phoenix is a compact microclimate, like you talked about.
And you can create it. So you have to be able to be willing to create it.
Yeah, and what about Christmas lights? Of course, electric, but
not warm enough. Yeah, Christmas lights won't be warm enough. They won't generate enough heat. On a smaller one, you might be able to get away with it. But once you get a full size, once the tree's 8 to 10 feet tall, it's a lot of material that you're going to have to protect. So,
trying to grow mango trees north of Phoenix is a waste of time, in my opinion. My friends in New Mexico can't grow mangoes or a lot of other tropical fruit trees, but some will grow there.
Yeah.
And then many of my stone fruit died over several years because of root borers.
Yeah. Borers or root rot? Like a Texas root rot?
I'm not sure. Not in Arizona. Good luck. LOL, I'm done with my lemon trees.
They're finicky, especially the first couple of years. So once they get established, they're troopers like any other citrus tree here. But they can definitely be finicky in the beginning. The challenge with the Myers is they will try to fruit no matter what. So they've got no leaves. We're going into summer and they're just trying to push out more flowers. And you're like, okay, you're gonna die, dude. You need to put on some leaves, and they refuse to do it. So yeah, we had really good success with this one. We lost one on the old farm because of that. So yeah.
Got to remember, Dwayne, it's worth it when you have a backyard food forest. Not worth it if you have a fruit farm like yourself.
Wait, what? Oh, are you talking about tropical trees?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's all perspective. So. And I'm a libertarian, little L libertarian, and so I am very much live and let live kind of guy. And I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. I mean, I don't want to be told what to do, and I'm definitely not doing that here. And I'm not saying that you can't do it. That's for sure. People can. I'm just saying that it's going to be an uphill battle. So, and there are better battles to fight, in my opinion. That's all.
Yeah. You're right, Lori. It's very exciting to get 2 to 3 mangoes off of a tree. I'm jealous. Sorry, join late.
You say that and somebody's going to send us a mango tree. You know
I
that's
know.
gonna
No,
happen.
don't send us a mango tree.
Jealous.
I'd be happy to sample your mangoes, but not your mango tree.
Send the mango, not the tree. Keep the tree, send the mango.
Sorry, join late, but do you still grow Zager genetics, interspecies-specific hybrid varieties? How are they doing? Any favorites?
Yes, I would say probably the Sweet Treat Pluary is my favorite.
Yeah.
Right? And then the, what's the apron again?
Sweet Treat, no.
No, that's Pluary. What's the apron? Gosh darn it. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So we have aprims. We have a couple pluots. The pluots we haven't been all that impressed with. So the Dapple Dandy never does well. We've tried growing that twice now and never had very good success with it. The Flavor Grenade grew. We had hundreds of fruit on that tree this year. We almost killed the tree with too much fruit. First time we've had that tree grow or produce so well. And that one, the Flavor Grenade pluot. But the flavor wasn't all that good. So I think for us so far, the one that we've had the most success with and tastes fantastic is the Sweet Treat Pluary. And then the apron, whatever apron we have. It's really good. What else?
There's so much on here. I'm trying to sort through.
Questions. Question in all caps.
That's what I'm going for is questions.
What's great is we got a lot of people that are chatting down here and giving some people ideas. So
yeah, but I'm trying to go through because you had asked people to give us their experiences. How much rain did you guys get yesterday?
2 inches. So just under 2 inches of rain yesterday that out of our rain gauge. And sometimes it was coming in sideways. So I'm not sure it was quite that accurate.
Yeah. I have a pomegranate tree grown in a pot and want to put it in the ground. Should I plant it now or wait until it goes dormant?
Now. All your deciduous trees can go in the ground now, especially if they're potted. Well, if they're bare root, something's wrong because you're in the wrong part of the world. or you're not, and you're down in Australia, and you're getting ready to go into spring.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Kevin joined us. Looks like he was shopping at the orange store. Do you grow hazelnuts? We do not. That's a nut tree I don't know will do well here. The one that I've read a couple things on a specific type of walnut that may grow here, which we might try someday, but it's not on the it's not on the short list. We got other figs. We were just talking about figs before we got on the live stream today. So we got that. We got some jujubes coming. So we're kind of focused on the ones that we know do well right now. We're really, really focused on what trees do well, and trees that don't do well, we're going back. Again, leading off of the episode we put out last week where we're talking about our regrets, and they're not really regrets, they're just learning experiences, right? So we all have that, and we all learn our property, like we're talking about here. You've got your backyard, and that's your baby, right? So, our backyard's just a little bit bigger. And so we're just learning what does and doesn't work. And so things that don't work, we don't keep pounding our head against the wall. Out. Nobody's got time. The most precious thing we have here on the planet. And it's limited for all of us. I don't want to spend time on things that are not going to do anything for me. So. Have you think of hawthorn trees?
No, have not.
Why did my mulberry fruited 2 times this year, spring and late summer, still picking the last of it?
Yeah, so mulberry trees. So we usually get a second round on our Shangri-Las and the everberries, but it's very, very small. So the harvest is extremely small. So the trees are overloaded in the spring. You get a handful, a dozen or two on a full-grown tree. So just not as much.
Just ordered some Freedom Primark blackberries, small 6-inch pot starts. Can they go in the ground now, or should I wait till spring? Now's the time to put them in the ground because they mulch them nice and heavy. We got a couple videos on keys to blackberries. Watch those. The key is mulch, nice and heavy, okay? Especially right now. Plant it now, though. Mulch it heavy. Make sure you maintain moisture, not sopping, but moisture. All winter long, it's going to be sending out those wonderful little rhizomes that are going to go through and shoot up for you here over the next few years. Did you ever try medlar tree?
We have not tried a medlar only because it sounds horrible. That's when you have to blet on the counter. And it's like a mush, kind of like a, not fukushu, not fuyu persimmon, the hachia. Hychia, persimmon.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you top your mulberries or do they just stop growing vertically?
So the everbearings have pretty much stopped growing. We didn't top them. So we pruned them back 1 year at about the height of our chicken coop, which is kind of where we want them to shade. At this point, I haven't gone back up there and they're not growing taller. They bush in, so we kind of thin them now when we're pruning. So, and then the other trees we kind of do, we trim the tops to encourage additional growth out because we want big, tall trees here in all the other areas.
These are Pakistans that are 7 feet in 15-gallon planters.
Oh, okay. They're going to get big fast if you don't top them. So those you would top, especially if you're going to keep them in a pot. Yes. In fact, you're going to need to pollard those if they're going to stay in a pot, okay, in order to get good production off of those. So if you don't know what pollarding is, you can go look that up, but it's basically cutting it back to a stump, a 2 to 3 foot stump every year. It might need to be closer to 2. And that way you get all new shoots, and that's where all of your new growth is. Very common for mulberry trees all around the world to be coppiced, cut down to the ground, or pollarded, cut down to a certain spot each year, have a trunk still. And very common in Phoenix for some of the old neighborhoods to have non-fruiting mulberries. Same thing. They would pollard them every year, cut it back to a couple gnarled arms and 10, 15 feet of growth. A big, tall black Pakistan will do the same.
Have you tried Bubba Berry raspberries? I struggled with raspberries until I tried them this year. So far, they made it this summer.
No, haven't tried that. I don't know that I would give that a shot, but I'm glad you're getting production. That's great. So we got some. We just got to have a spot for it too. We just don't right now.
Yeah, let us know how they go.
I love raspberries. Raspberries are fantastic.
Yeah.
I love them.
What if I just graft everything onto a saguaro?
I think that would be, that'd be spiky. It'd be spiny.
Have you ever tried the Russian method of growing tropical trees in a 6 to 8 foot trench using something to keep them low, cover with burlap in winter?
Well, I wouldn't want to do all of that. So
it's just a lot of work.
That's a lot of work. But we haven't attempted it, but it's not something that I would try. It's kind of like a wallapini. It sounds similar to a wallapini. So I know the first time I met Seamus, we were telling him we were living out here, and he was talking about a wallapini. I looked it up. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That's too much work. I'm not a good enough craftsman to do that.
Someone mentioned Jake, the vegan athlete, grows tropicals in Phoenix.
Well, he's not in Phoenix anymore.
He said if he still lives there. He actually, I think, is in Canada now.
Mm-hmm. He had some and basically no production. So it's funny. I remember watching those, and we were a few years into our fruit tree stuff here, and we hadn't tried any tropical trees yet. But I think he had Seamus on, and they were trying to build a heated structure for one of his trees, and I'm like, I am not going to do this. I'm just not going to do this.
So if I feed the bamboo more nitrogen and plant nitrogen fixers, could they work with the loquat? I hate to remove the bamboo.
I would remove the bamboo. Loquat struggles way too much in the summertime. Loquat trees struggle during our summers. Now, if you want to do those things, you can, but you're adding more things that are going to compete for water, okay? So even your beans
How close are they?
And things like that, or anything you plant needs water and nutrition. Everything does. And so no matter what you add, you're taking from your loquat. So just keep that in mind. So if you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. But your loquats struggle already. So you're just adding an additional layer of struggle for your loquat tree. Anything else? We good?
Okay, I think I got all the questions.
Okay.
Sorry if I missed your question. It didn't stand out. There was a lot of comments. I was trying to read through comments too, so I was seeing those
good.
as well, but I was trying to get us to,
It was
make sure
good.
we ended on time.
Did you try your creme brulee?
I did.
Oh,
I
it's
can't wait
good,
to have a little bit more of it. Yeah.
Misko, thank you so much if you're here still. I'll tell you what, may have to go to Slovakia just for those little creme brulees, I'm not going to lie. So just want to thank you guys for joining us today. This was the Desert Farmer Podcast. I believe we were episode 73, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Really good interaction with you guys today. I want to remind you, if you're still here, definitely make sure you guys comment on the actual video once it posts. A lot of folks are going to read those that are thinking about tropicals. Be brutally honest, please. Okay, don't sugarcoat it by any means. So tell us what you did, the changes you did, what special things you had to do to get them to survive, or if it was a disaster, share that too. Just so folks can get a real idea before they go out and spend $150 on a tree, okay? and they pass by that beautiful, wonderful Florida Prince that's $50 in a pot and barely struggling from this year, that'll do so much better for them, right? But I just want to thank you guys for joining us today. You know, what we talked about it earlier, time is the most valuable thing we have here on the planet. You guys choose to spend that with us. We don't take that for granted. What we do here for you guys each week is a way for us to give that time back. And just want to thank you for being here. Make sure that you send your questions to us, right? Questions, comments. That's how these occur. It's how we get content for you guys. We want to base this around your guys' stuff. We want to make sure that we're answering questions for you, and this is useful information for you week to week. And remember, you can do that many ways. Comments here on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. We got our website. You can message us that way. You got Lori's phone number all over the internet. You got all these ways of contacting us. Send us your questions. You know, you may find that it pops up here for us one of these weeks. At what time?
2 o'clock.
Arizona time. Remember, we do not change time, right? Like everybody else in October. 2 o'clock Arizona is when we do the Desert Farmer podcast. And we will see you next Saturday at 2 o'clock. But until then, want to remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere,
So can you.
Yep. Bye, everyone.
Bye.